Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we are jumping into a source that deals with what is, probably one of the most stressful things a person can do.
Right, next to public speaking or maybe holiday dinners.
Exactly. We're talking about buying a house.
But we're not, looking at interest rates or checking for asbestos. This is more like a psychic home
A
inspection.
psychic home inspection. I love that. And this source, really, it just perfectly captures what we do here. You've got this high-level, non-physical entity, Seth, giving incredibly practical advice on debt, geology, even interior decorating.
It's the cosmic meeting the concrete. It's fantastic.
So let's set the stage. The source material is session 65 from the early sessions, book 2 of the Seth material. And the date on this is Sunday, June 28th, 1964.
And the key detail here is that this was not a planned session. It wasn't their usual Tuesday or Thursday night.
No, it was totally unscheduled. The couple, Joseph and Jane, or Robert and Rupert, they had just gotten back from looking at a house, and they were, completely torn. They had that burning question, is this the one?
It's like the ultimate metaphysical emergency call. Seth, we need a consult. Stat.
Right. And our mission today is to really just break this all down. We're going to dissect Seth's advice piece by piece and try to understand not just what he told them, but why. Why were these specific financial and environmental details so critical for them at that exact moment?
It's all about their creative work, their future psychic health. Every piece of advice is part of a much bigger picture.
And as always, just a quick reminder for everyone listening, this deep dive is, of course, going to be distributed free of charge on all major platforms. It's for educational purposes. We really believe the lessons in these early sessions should be accessible to anyone who's looking for them.
Okay, so the house itself. Let's start with the physical reality of the situation. This wasn't just some casual Sunday drive-by. This place represented a huge shift in their lives.
It's outside Elmira, New York.
Yeah.
And it was previously owned by an artist and a school teacher, so it already had this kind of creative vibe to it.
But the main thing, the big point of contention for them, was the road.
The road, yeah, it's sitting way up high on a hillside, which gave them this amazing privacy. But the only way to get there was up this steep, unmaintained dirt road.
And when they say unmaintained, they mean it. The state wasn't touching it. The county wasn't touching it. It was their problem.
So that's the dilemma, right?
Yeah.
On one hand, you have the total solitude and connection to nature that's, perfect for a channel and an artist.
And on the other, you have the daily grinding reality of life in upstate New York. You've got mud, you've got snow, you've got isolation. It's pure aspiration versus practicality.
And this is where Seth comes in. And his opening line is, I think, one of the best in the entire series. It's funny, it's profound, and it just perfectly sums up the human condition.
It really does. He says, as you were discovering for all our discussion on matter, matter matters even while it does not matter at all.
I mean, come on. That's just brilliant.
It is. It's the ultimate paradox. From his perspective, the non-physical one, matter is just a construct. It's temporary. It doesn't really matter.
But when you're the one trying to get groceries up that muddy hill, or your pipes burst, oh, it matters. It matters a lot.
The sheer inconvenience of physical reality just demands your attention. And you can almost hear the amusement in his tone. He found their whole debate extremely interesting, but then he says something like he was rather glad that I do not have to deal with such matters myself any longer.
Right. There's this cosmic sigh of relief.
Right.
It's like he's watching someone try to assemble a piece of IKEA furniture without the instructions.
Total genial amusement. And he even compares their problem buy or don't buy to his own concerns and says, I must say that my own concerns seem almost childlike by comparison.
Which is such a great perspective shift, isn't it? It's like maybe the most complex philosophical questions are actually simpler than figuring out the logistics of getting a washing machine delivered to a remote hillside.
It's strangely comforting. It's an acknowledgement that, yeah, this stuff is hard, but that relaxed, kind of humorous tone just vanishes in the next moment.
It completely drains away. He pivots to another property they had just glanced at earlier in the day, a rebuilt schoolhouse.
And this is where it gets chilling, because totally unprompted, Seth delivers this incredibly sharp, serious warning. He tells them to avoid any dealings, business or personal, with the owner, a Mr. Marvin.
Any transactions at all. And it's not a vague warning, is it?
Not at all. It's specific. He tells them Mr. Marvin is about to be involved in a serious scandal and that this prediction was no idle one.
Wow. So he's seeing a future event.
Yeah.
a difficulty that they are completely unaware of, and he's stepping in to protect them from getting entangled in it.
Exactly. It's a direct, practical intervention. And it really sets the tone, doesn't it? If he's that certain and that specific about some guy they barely know, you have to pay extremely close attention to what he says about the house they actually want to buy.
It's like he's establishing his credentials as an early warning system before he gets to the main event.
And the main event starts not with finances, but with history, with a past life.
Right. To explain their current hesitation, he goes way back. He dives into Joseph's psychology to explain his hang-up about land.
This is so fascinating. He goes from a future scandal straight into the 17th century. He says Joseph's great desire for many acres comes from a past life.
As a landowner in Denmark, of all
Yeah.
places, in a town called Treve back in the 1600s.
Yep. And that identity, that experience of owning vast tracts of land and making a living from it, it created this deep, unconscious template for what security feels like.
So now in 1964, he's looking at this perfect house that's on just 1 acre, and that old part of him is rebelling.
It is, and Seth gives it this amazing label. He calls it a form of self-spite.
Self-spite. Okay, break that down. How does being a Danish landowner centuries ago lead to punishing yourself in the present?
Well, it's like this deep all-or-nothing thinking. Because he once had so much land, his inner self sees 1 acre as a demotion, a failure. So the unconscious logic is, if I can't have the vast estate again, I'll have nothing. I'll just wait 20 years for the impossible dream rather than accept this perfectly good reality now.
Wow. So he's using a memory of a past success as a weapon against his current happiness.
Precisely. And Seth calls that whole emotional reaction hardly realistic. He's hoping that by showing Joseph where the feeling comes from, this distant, almost random historical identity, he'll be able to let it go.
That's a huge lesson for anyone listening. Sometimes the things we think we desperately need are just echoes from another time, not requirements for who we are now.
And knowing the source can diffuse the compulsion, which then leads directly into the financial advice.
Yeah, he moves straight from psychology to dollars and cents. He prefaces it by saying, "I am no banker," which is just great.
And he acts exactly like a banker, a very specific, very firm banker. He gives them a hard ceiling.
Do not pay more than $6,000, period. In 1964 money.
Which is incredibly specific. Why 6,000? Why not 7? And the answer has nothing to do with economics.
It's all about energy, and specifically, Joseph's energy.
Right. Seth explains that if they paid more, the financial worry, the constant anxiety about the debt would make Joseph feel bitter toward the land itself.
Why Joseph in particular?
Because of that past life, he was used to the land giving him a livelihood. If the land now becomes this source of dread and financial drain, it creates this psychic contradiction that just undermines his entire sense of well-being.
So this is that energy finance loop you were talking about. It's not about what you can afford on paper. It's about the emotional friction the debt creates.
That is the absolute heart of it. Seth says a larger debt, say $8,000 or $10,000, would actually take them longer to pay off.
How does that work?
Because the fears around the debt act like a black hole for energy. The worry would suck up all their creative and manifesting power, making it harder to earn the money in the first place.
So the $6,000 limit is basically a psychic protection spell that creates a boundary to protect their creative energy. And the payoff is amazing.
It is. He basically promises them that if they stick to this limit, the positive energy released by buying the right house will allow them to pay it off in just 5 to 8 years. Way faster than a normal mortgage.
The house itself becomes a wealth generation machine, like a kind of spiritual compounding interest.
Exactly. The house is an investment in their alignment. And he says this directly. All the conditions change when the object or the land is different. A house psychically unsound would greatly cut down your ability to pay for it.
So the takeaway is, when you're making a big financial decision, the psychic cost of the worry might be even more important than the interest rate.
Absolutely. So with the money side sorted, he then moves on to the physical location itself, the non-negotiable environmental factors they need for their work.
He starts by just praising the spot, that being close to nature and the seasons is important to you both and will lead to greater psychic fruition. That makes sense for Jane's channeling.
But then he lays out 2 absolute requirements for them. The place has to be on high ground, and it has to be near water.
High ground and near water. He says low ground is unsuitable. And for water, he's talking ocean, big lake, or a river.
Right. And for them, water has value for the development of inner abilities. It's like a huge energetic conductor. And high ground gives you, clearer perspective, a bit of detachment. It's an energetic sweet spot.
And this particular house ticked both boxes. It was high up, and you could see the Chemung River from the porch.
But he doesn't just stop at what you can see. This is where he goes next level. He does a psychic structural survey.
You mean he looks under the house?
Way under the house. He confirms there's rock underneath, so the foundation is good, no seepage, practical stuff. But then he adds that the currents deep down beneath the foundation are good ones. He's checking the flow of earth energy, the telluric currents.
That is not on any standard home inspection checklist. And the best part is Joseph's reaction in the notes.
Oh, yeah. As Jane is dictating that part about the good currents, Joseph writes that he felt his familiar thrilling sensation sweep over me from head to toe.
His body was literally vibrating in agreement. It was giving him a full body yes.
The physical organism confirming the energetic data. Seth also calls the hill itself a friendly and not threatening one, suggesting the land itself has a personality.
But what about the people who lived there before? The human energy.
He's meticulous about that, too. He says the child who lived there before was somewhat disturbed, and that if the family had stayed any longer, the house would not have remained psychically beneficial.
That's chilling. So the energy of a place can actually degrade over time depending on who's living there.
Like an infection, yeah. It just highlights how important psychic cleaning is, which he gets into later. But first he has to solve this land paradox for Joseph.
Right. The 1 acre versus the many acres, the Danish landowner is still not happy.
Exactly. But Seth gives him this beautiful piece of wisdom. He says the psychic freedom and burst of energy Joseph is looking for will be released regardless of the amount of land.
So it's not the quantity, it's the quality of the connection.
Precisely. He says an acre will release this energy as well as 10 acres. What matters is the feeling of ownership and the interaction with the land. That's what satisfies the old identity.
Which is brilliant because it allows Joseph's deep psychological need to fit inside their practical $6,000 budget.
It aligns everything. And then, just to tick the last box, he confirms the neighbors stick alone and there's no impending danger. His final summary. The place is made to order.
Okay, so this is just incredible. It's not a simple yes or no. It's a complete user's manual for the house. So once they buy it, what's step one? The road.
Right, the big practical problem. And he's so efficient about it. He just says he anticipates no road difficulties. And he fully endorses their idea of trading in their car for an old Jeep.
He says the Jeep would work out very well and would not be costly. It's a perfect blend of practical advice that also fits the financial rule. Function over form.
Then he gets into the cleaning instructions. And this is way more than just dusting and vacuuming. This is psychic hygiene.
Step one sounds simple enough. Open all the windows and let the hilltop air blow through.
Yeah, he says the bottom of the house has been closed up too long. It's gotten musty. So you have to purge the stagnant physical air to purge the stagnant energy. He's very specific about airing out the cellarway very thoroughly.
The deepest, darkest part of the house needs the most light and air. Make sense? But the biggest instruction is about the walls.
Yes. Painting. He says it's excellent and that the walls must be covered. And not just for looks. He calls it a necessary precaution whenever you move to avoid inheriting unnecessary difficulties left behind by the previous tenants.
And in this house, there's a very specific difficulty they need to avoid.
A very specific one. He reveals that the man who lived there before had a destructive and sometimes cruel tendency.
Wait, so the walls of the house literally absorb the energy of his cruelty. And if they don't paint, they could be affected by it.
That's exactly it. The physical structure becomes a library of emotional history. A fresh coat of paint acts as an energetic seal. It neutralizes that old residue so they aren't constantly being influenced by the anger or negativity of the person who lived there before.
That makes you look at a can of paint in a whole new way. It's like a form of exorcism. But the weirdest instruction, the most specific one, is about the kids' toys.
Oh, this is where it gets really granular. He tells them they must not keep any of the child's belongings. No toys, no playthings, not even any balls.
And Joseph, ever the pragmatist, asks if they can at least keep the balls for their cat, Willie.
And Seth's answer is a hard no, a firm refusal. And you have to remember he already said the child was somewhat disturbed. That kind of energy, especially from a child, can be really potent and disruptive. He says getting rid of it all will forestall any difficulties.
It's the ultimate deep clean. Get rid of anything that holds the old energy.
And then once the space is cleansed, you have to create new sacred patterns.
Right, and he gives them two main ways to do that. The first is about eating.
He tells them to eat their meals in the dining room often, to treat that act as something significant. He says the act of eating is psychically significant, and when possible should be treated as such. It is indeed a communion of sorts.
So it's not just about fuel, it's an energetic ritual, and doing it in a dedicated space anchors positive energy into the home.
Absolutely. The second big recommendation is about bringing that crucial water element inside.
Even though the river is right outside.
Yep. He suggests an artificial purchased pond arrangement for a contemplation area. Just a small basin with water dripping over rocks, maybe some flowers.
It's so interesting that he's fine with an artificial pond. It's not about being natural, it's about the intention.
It's all about the focus. The sound and sight of the water create this meditative focal point. He says it will be a place of inner contemplation in which the inner senses would greatly expand their reach. It's a custom-built tool for psychic development.
And then finally the garden, which I assume connects back to Joseph and the Danish landowner.
100%. He says they should both work in the garden. It's the hands-on way to create that intimacy with nature he craves. It grounds the idea of ownership in the physical world and makes the land a source of creation, not worry.
And he even confirmed the river was safe for swimming. He really thought of everything.
Every last detail.
Yeah.
But moving to a place like that has social consequences too, and Seth addresses those, starting with the telephone.
The telephone dilemma. It seems like such a small thing, but he treats it with real psychological weight.
Because for Joseph, that isolation was part of the appeal. Subconsciously, he didn't want the outside world intruding. But Seth tells them that not having a phone at this point would cause great bitterness from Joseph's family.
So the phone is actually a tool for managing family energy, for preventing friction that would distract them from their work.
They're strong enough now, they don't need to hide anymore. And that leads into this really touching part of the session, where he explains why they stayed in their old apartment for 4 years.
Yeah, they had wondered if they were sort of energetically stuck there, connected to their friends who were also their landlords, Marion and James.
And it turns out they were. In the best possible way. Seth explains the apartment's whole purpose was to provide a good psychic background so they could rest and build up their strength.
And that good background wasn't the apartment itself, it was the people. It was Marion and James.
He calls them important elements and very loyal, and says their good wishes literally helped Joseph when he was sick. He tells them the relationship should be maintained because the four of them are psychically good for each other.
Wow. So their time in that apartment wasn't stagnation. It was a necessary incubation period, a protective, energetic cocoon.
Exactly. They needed that stability before they were ready for the independence of the house on the hill, which Seth tells them will really be your first home. It gives such a beautiful sense of purpose to what might have just felt like a long wait.
And he even gets into the timing of the move, early spring or summer.
Right. And he's very clear that this specific house is the only suitable one available for them right now. He says it's no coincidence that you sought it out. If they wait, it could be another 2 years before something else disaligned comes along.
It gives them a real sense of divine timing. This is the moment. This is the place. Act now.
And just to close a loop on the money, Joseph asks one final question. He was worried that the $6,000 figure was based on a potential raise Jane might get.
He thought maybe the advice was based on future income, not their current reality.
But Seth shuts that down completely. He says the gallery situation did not enter into my calculations of finances. The advice was based on their present energy and income. They were stable enough to do it right then and there.
It's the most complete, customized real estate consultation in history. And just when you think it's all wrapped up, the session record takes this sharp, jarring turn.
Right. We get this completely unrelated, cryptic document inserted into the notes, the volar transcript.
It's a huge tonal shift. We go from Seth's warm, practical, specific advice to something much colder and more abstract.
It comes from a solitary Ouija board session Jane did 2 days earlier. And the entity communicating is completely different.
Thomas Voller, a man who supposedly died in England in 1894. The whole thing is just mysterious and a little unsettling.
And the messages are pure cosmic riddles. They have none of Seth's helpful context. The first one is a direct challenge.
To do no more is not sufficient.
It's like a cosmic kick in the pants, a command to expand, to do more. So Jane asks what the price of that expansion is.
And the answer is just so beautifully abstract. The price of consciousness.
Which I take to mean the price is the effort it takes to be more aware, the vigilance, the attention, the work of expanding your own consciousness.
And then she asks what else is needed, and the answer is to add to a truth sum.
Yeah, which is not exactly practical advice you can take to the bank. It's this idea of a cumulative process of seeking and integrating truth, Compare that to Seth saying, go buy a Jeep. It's a different universe of communication.
But the really fascinating part is the note Jane adds about how the session felt.
Right. She says she had no opinion concerning the above material, but she makes two key observations about the mechanism.
First, she didn't speak her questions. She just thought them.
And second, and this is the big one, she said she knew the answer internally before the board spelled it out. But in this session with Voller, she did not know the answers beforehand.
So the information was coming from a place that felt more external to her. With Seth, she often gets the whole concept at once, internally. This felt different.
It suggests a different kind of connection, a different source. It just shows the incredible diversity of consciousness. You have the warm, funny, practical personality of Seth, and then you have the cryptic, serious, and distant Voller.
It all comes from a non-local awareness, but it gets translated through these very different personalities. And both streams, the practical and the esoteric, have to be taken seriously.
That's it. The whole session really is proof that our biggest physical decisions are just tangled up with these huge energetic and historical threads. The real question isn't just, can I afford this?
Right.
It's, does this decision maximize my energetic alignment? Because that alignment, that's the real asset.
So after all that, what's the big takeaway for someone listening today? Someone who might be making a big decision, even if it's not buying a house?
I think the lesson is about integration. It's that you can't separate the practical from the metaphysical. The best decisions happen when you combine that deep, intuitive, psychic input with, a realistic look at your finances and logistics.
Seth wasn't just giving them psychic woo-woo. He was giving them a completely holistic, fully customized, energetic business plan.
It's amazing. A cosmic entity weighing in on whether an old Jeep is a good idea. It proves no detail is too small if it affects your overall energy.
It really does. And I think there's one final provocative thought from Seth that we have to end on. It's the ultimate seal of approval on this whole plan.
Oh, yeah, the health guarantee. The health guarantee. After confirming everything, he offers them this incredible promise. He says, the hilltop air, the pure water, the whole energetic vibe of the place, it will add 3 years to your life.
That's the final mic drop. It's not just a house. It's a health investment. When you align your physical world with your inner needs, the payoff is literal time. You get more life because you're not wasting energy fighting your environment.
What could possibly be a better return on investment than that? It just makes you want to look at every choice you make through that same lens of energy and alignment.
It really does. And if you want to explore these ideas more deeply, we can't recommend the source material enough. This session is just one tiny slice.
Absolutely. We really encourage you to study the foundational material, especially the Seth material books, to really get the full philosophical framework behind this kind of advice.
And for that, you should definitely visit the New Awareness Network website and their bookstore. You can find all the details on the early sessions, including this one, at sethcenter.com/the early sessions.
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into psychic real estate. We hope your next big move is just as energetically aligned.
We'll see you next time.